Thank you very much. Thank you. Please sit down. Please, thank you very, very much. You applaud much more, that whale is going to fall out of the sky. Thank you for that gracious introduction. I'm going to begin the way no speaker should, with an apology. I am woefully underdressed, and I apologize. But I had another commitment earlier, and when Adrienne Arsht asked me to do this, I've been deathly afraid of Adrienne my whole life. She's a child compared to me, but her family have been incredibly influential and positive actors in the state of Delaware. I kid her, the reason I got elected, Dr. Kissinger, to the Senate at age 29, her father was the most prominent corporate lawyer in the state of Delaware. And I was a young lawyer who was a councilman. I'm the first United States senator I ever knew. And and her father literally sort of leaned down and gave me the blessing and said, I think he would be a great senator, and endorsed me. And I really mean this. I don't think I would have had a chance had he not been the first consequential, respected figure in the state to endorse me. And so I owe Adrienne a lot because of her family and all the great things she's done. And in this Atlantic Council, along with Governor Huntsman, the chairman, and Fred, CEO, and Adrienne, I want to thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. I do have an announcement to make. I am still intimidated by Dr. Kissinger. That has been the way my whole life and my whole adult life. But ladies and gentlemen, to all the honorees tonight, President Draghi, you have an incredibly difficult job you handle with such skill. And I also, Yulong, I was saying that I had a chance to have my picture taken with a peacemaker or a music maker. I chose the music maker. And you bring such joy and to so many people and such pride to your country that it's an honor to be with you as well. And ladies and gentlemen, my deepest congratulations and thanks to the honorees tonight. But tonight, ladies and gentlemen, it's my particular honor to celebrate a dear friend. We've been friends for some time. President Santos has been a man of vision, a man of service, and he has affirmed once and again a man of peace. We go back a long way. When I first visited Colombia in the 90s, and then in 2000 was, as Dr. Kissinger may remember, and Brent Scowcroft and others, drafted out of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee a plan called Plan Colombia. Colombia was teetering on the brink of becoming a failed state. The economy was in shambles, the country racked by violence from drug cartels and guerrilla groups and paramilitaries. And the idea of peace in Colombia was almost unthinkable 15 years ago. So the fact that Colombia has come so far, so fast, in such a short time, in the face of such incredible obstacles, is a testament to the commitment of its leaders and the resilience of its people. I was proud, as I said, to be one of the architects of Plan Colombia in the Senate, and to work with my Republican as well as Democratic colleagues. And we knew that it would be a game changer for both our countries if we could help Colombia move beyond the battling cartels to become a strong regional partner. President Santos and his predecessors have heard me say over the last 20 years that I think that Colombia is the keystone to the hemisphere. If this is the first time in any of our lifetimes, you can look at the Western Hemisphere from Canada to the tip of Argentina and Chile, and see a hemisphere that is whole and free and democratic and secure. We're not quite there yet, but it's within our reach. And it's within our reach because we have determined men like the man we're going to honor next. But it was the Colombian people who did all the hard work and demanded change. They took ownership of their future, and our contributions to Plan Colombia was only a small fraction of what the Colombian government did and the chances its leaders took. With hard work and unwavering commitment, the people of Colombia have reclaimed their nation. As I said, back those days, I served on the Foreign Relations Committee, and during much of this progress, I can tell you President Santos was there at every step. In the 90s, he was the Minister of Trade, and he helped open up Colombia, the Colombian economy, so the Colombian people could take advantage of new opportunities. As Minister of Finance in the early 2000s, he helped steer Colombia out of the worst recession it went through in 70 years. As the Minister of Defense, he oversaw the rescue of 3 Americans who had been held hostage by the FARC for 5 years. And we were so grateful to President Santos and to President Uribe at the time that the troops who engaged in the rescue and brought our boys home, I had an opportunity to personally thank. Now, as president, he's working to end one of the longest-running conflicts in the world so that the Colombian people can live in greater peace and greater security. So as I said, he's a man of service and a man of peace. And I know he's a man of great vision for the future of his country and the future of Colombia's relationship with the United States. With our bilateral trade agreement, trade between the United States and Colombia has grown by over $40 billion a year. But there's no reason that can't be doubled or even tripled in the near term if Colombia can deliver on the promise of this peace agreement. A Colombia that's at peace is a Colombia that can take full advantage in the use of its land. Farmers can plant their fields without worrying about stepping on landmines. Citizens can pursue their dreams free of the fears of extortion and kidnapping. And as a nation, Colombia can continue and contribute more as we take on the global challenges that impact on our future. I've said many times that Colombia's success is in the overwhelming self-interest of the United States of America. They're already an indispensable partner for us in the Americas, especially in Central America. And I see no limits on what our partnership can accomplish when Colombian citizens are no longer fettered by the violence and strife that continue to exist in some parts. So let me say, as the people of Colombia continue working toward a lasting peace and greater prosperity, the United States will continue to be their strongest ally and their closest friend. So for his vision for our shared future, for his service to the people of Colombia, for his commitment to peace, it's my great honor to be able to present to my friend, President Santos, the Global Citizen Award. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of Colombia.
Good evening to everybody. Mr. Vice President, I want to distinguish also the President of Croatia and the President of Georgia, the President and CEO of the Atlantic Council and the members of the board, fellow honorees, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Vice President, for your very generous words. You have been a dear friend, personal friend, and a friend of Colombia for many years. You have been a witness to the transformation of our country, and I know that you truly understand how far we have come. It is a real honor for me, in the name of every Colombian, to be here with all of you tonight and to be able to accept this award. The Atlantic Council has had a very positive change over the last decade. It has grown in influence. It's taking on greater and more complex foreign policy challenges. The leadership of Fred Kempis has been present there always. And Latin America is an exciting place with all its variations, with all its problems. The Atlantic Council has been at the forefront of our reality. Thank you, Adrian, for your support. Your work has helped reset the conversation in the hemisphere and across the Atlantic. It was also a stroke of genius to have selected Peter Schechter, who I've known for many, many years, to head the Adrian Hearst Latin American Center. Peter understands the transformation, he knows the transformers, and has the connections to know what is really happening in Latin America, what is happening in my country. We are living, as the Chinese would say, interesting times. As the Vice President said, 15 years ago, we were on the verge of being declared a failed state. We were going through the worst economic crisis of the last 80 to 100 years. And what we have achieved today is the product of the work of many people, but also the results of this special alliance, special friendship that we have always had with the United States. 15 years ago, when we were having those very, very severe problems, the United States gave us a hand. Vice President Biden was there. He was the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee. He went with a delegation that was headed by then President Clinton, and it was a bipartisan delegation. It was Democrats and Republicans. The Speaker of the House was there, and both parties told the government, you must make Plan Colombia work. We have invested a great political capital, and we must make this work. That was 15 years ago. Today, we can say that Colombia is heading the pack in terms of economic growth, in terms of social inclusion. Colombia last year was the country that grew the fastest in all of Latin America, the medium and large economies, the country that created more employment, over 3 million new jobs, the country that reduced more poverty and extreme poverty. It's a working democracy, and now we are about to put the cherry on the cake by achieving, thank God, hopefully peace with the FARC after 50 years of war. We've done this. It hasn't been easy. We have had to make big sacrifices, but we have always had the United States on our side and our friends, as the Vice President and friends from both parties, because this Plan Colombia was a bipartisan initiative, and I would say that it's probably the most successful foreign policy bipartisan initiative that the United States has launched in the last 20, 25 years. And we are very grateful, because if we are now close to having peace in our country, it is because the United States has been by our side. We reached an agreement with the FARC last week in Cuba, and this agreement was about the most difficult step, the most difficult decision that any peace process has to take anywhere in the world. The question of where do you draw the line between peace and justice. We came up with a very creative scheme, I think unprecedented in the world. First time that in a peace process the two parties set up a tribunal, special jurisdiction. There will be no impunity. The most responsible will go through the justice system, and we agreed to have certain points developed after we sign in order to keep the trend, the social inclusion and the economic growth. Colombia, in peace, will be another country. 3 generations have been living in a country at war. Huge, huge costs. Many people don't realize how costly this war has been. More than 7.5 million victims, displaced people over the last years, and to be able to see the future, and hopefully in 6 months we will have a peaceful country. This is something that for us is a real game changer. And again, this is something that we thank the United States for being on our side. And this award only encourages us to continue, because we have a long way to go. If we have reduced poverty by 12% in the last 5 years, we still have a long way to go. We have a long way to go in economic growth, in closing the differences between the rich and the poor, the rich regions and the poor regions. We have a long way to go, but with peace, it will be much easier. And I thank the Atlantic Council. I thank you all in the name of Colombia for this award. We will carry it humbly in our heart, and it will serve as a great encouragement to continue working for our democracy, for freedom, for progress in the region, in the Americas, and for this special relationship which we are proud of between the United States and Colombia. Thank you very much.